Hello, and welcome to our very first episode of Tuned In by Gramophone and Worldwide Stereo. I'm your host, David Solomon, and thank you so much for being here. If you happen to be here, it's probably because you're just surfing the net at this particular moment because we didn't invite anyone. So if you're here, we're glad you're here. If you're watching this later, which probably most folks will do, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know in the message board. We'll be glad to try to answer those. I am absolutely the new kid on the block at Gramophone and Worldwide Stereo, and I am very happy to be here. I really actually never thought that I would be back in retail again, but hey, you just never know what's going to happen. And so far, it's been an absolutely wonderful experience. I think I'm on week 4 now. Well, with me is going to be my co-host and a really good friend of mine, Joe Finn. Joe and I have known each other for, I don't even want to tell you how long we've known each other for, because that would indicate that we're kind of old people, which neither one of us really feel it, but bear with us. We're getting there. So if you would help me welcome my good friend, Mr. Joseph Finn. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Mr. David. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be doing this again. It's been a long time. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day, or actually I was thinking about it last night. And we used to put these sessions on, these live sessions on for CoBuzz. And I started doing that, and right about the pandemic, right about when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And we did them for, I don't know, maybe a couple of years, and had a really, really good time doing it. But then when the pandemic finished, there was so much stuff to do and so much travel. The shows kind of started slowly going away. And so it's been, gosh, now about 3 years since I've done one of the CoBuzz live shows. So this is all kind of brand new. And Joe, we got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, man. We've actually, I've seen some of your CoBuzz live, and we've been doing the Gramophone live thing since before I got here 2.5 years ago. Luke was doing them at that point. And, over the last year or so, we've kind of softened up on them. We haven't done nearly as many, but I've always enjoyed doing them. And you and I did one together about 1.5 years ago, I want to say.
That was a blast. We did one on streaming audio, and we're actually going to do, that's not going to be our next show, but the 2 shows after, we've got planned to, just take you through the streaming world, show you how to do it, give you some ideas, make sure you're hooked up right and sounding your very best. That's going to be a really fun show. And then after that, we're going to be doing which is actually one of my very favorite things to do. Ask Me Anything. I absolutely love those. They're a lot of fun. So that'll be one chance you have to stump the chump. And of course, we'll probably give you some others. Joe, tell them about the 3 questions that we're going to be doing.
I'll get to that in a second, but I do want to remind anybody who is viewing this live now, you can go ahead and ask us questions on this, because we've got a little chat window here. So if you just pop a question in, we'll be more than happy to answer it for you.
Absolutely. Let's see. So Joe, we're going to be doing this show. It's going to be we're at this point we're planning on doing these things every other week. However, we do have a show coming up next week with a really, really cool guest. We'll tell you all about that in just a little bit. But let's kind of walk you through, what the show is going to be about.
Yeah, there's so many questions that people have about technology, and really it changes so quickly, David. I mean, you look at streaming that was, 20 years ago was really kind of a low res thing. And now you can get incredibly high quality streaming, but that's only one element of the technology story. You look at modern TVs, and it's unbelievable how clear and bright the display device is. You look at the things we can do with installations now that we can do wirelessly, that 25 years ago absolutely required a wired backbone. Really anything in the technology space that Worldwide Stereo and Gramophone is deeply involved in is going to be fodder for questions from the audience and presentations that we can make and host some of our industry friends, to help us get the conversation going, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Joe had brought up a really cool idea the other day about there's going to be 3 questions at the beginning of the or I guess you could probably ask them anytime during the show. They'll be, I guess, stump the chump questions. No problem. We don't mind playing that game, and that's that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. We're also going to be not only talking about the gear. I mean, there's a ton of gear unboxing, or this is what the gear's about. In
Yeah.
fact, Joe does a really, really good job of
Thank you.
taking things to a ridiculous level so that you really understand what's going on. If you ever see, well, you could go to the Gramophone channel and just kind of take a look at some of the videos Joe does, but they're very, very comprehensive. That's not what this is going to be about. We will be talking about gear, but it's going to be because it's the gear that we love. It's the gear that we're listening to. We had just heard a system or whatever it has to be, but it's going to really be from more of an emotional than, say, a technical level. However, if you have any technical questions at any point, please don't hesitate to ask them. But instead of just doing stuff like that, we're also going to have musicians. We're going to have recording engineers. We'll have designers on the show. Joe has been working with designers for what is the last couple of years now?
Yeah, longer than that, really. I mean, I've been at Gramophone for 2.5, but really kind of started working with designers prior to that too. So
yeah, the only designer I've ever worked with is me and my wife, and I don't think we're very great at it. We're
by
also
the
going
way,
to
one of my best friends in the design community is Mike Dyer, who I'm not sure exactly what Mike has ever designed, but he actually popped a hello, my friends in here. So we know we've got at least one industry friend already participating in the show. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Mike Dyer. How you doing, buddy? He was working for Clips last time I saw him. He's just like an ambassador. What a great guy. So we'll do that. We'll have soon. Joe and I are going to be going to Denver, and we're going to be doing the CEDIA show. This is a custom design and installation show, and these guys, they have got some of the coolest stuff. And it's one of the really cool things. You never know what you're going to see because things are advancing so quickly in this field that that's one of the things that I love about CEDIA. You walk in and somebody's going to go, "Well, did you know that you can?" And you're going, "Yeah, no, I didn't know that you could do that." It's really, really cool, and they'll show us a lot of things that we, of course, want, and probably a lot of things that we can't quite afford. But hey, there's always trying.
So, David, let's chat about CEDIA for just a minute. Here we've got Tigo De Silva has rung in. Best smiles in the industry. It's great to see you guys.
What a great guy. Tiago works for Audio Quest.
Oh, okay.
I was able to see him last week, and this is one of those, not a technical thing, but Tiago and De Silva and Ken Forsyth set up what I thought was the very best system at the show that we were at last week. And these guys are terribly skilled. Now, this wasn't like the most expensive in the world, the system in the world either. This was a pair of Bowers and Wilkins 804s with the Marantz 10 integrated amplifier.
Yeah, Model 10.
With Model 10 integrated, and then they had Audio Quest Braveheart. It's a new cable that they've come out with. That's got that wired up the whole thing. Well, I probably saw, I don't know, 70, 80 systems, some quite a bit more expensive, but this system absolutely made just perfect magic. In fact, it made such magic that me and Ken and Diego, we were up till about 1 o'clock on Friday night, just going, "Oh my gosh, play this!" And then another, "Oh, play this!" We get to do that all the time, and I absolutely love doing that. It's one of my favorite things in the world. But this whole show is going to be simply to connect with our audience on a much deeper level than, say, just, "Hey, what are the specs?" or "How much can I get this for?" We want to make this something that's going to be very valuable to you. And as saying that, listen, we're always in for suggestions, what you think we should do for one of the shows,
Hmm.
and like I say, ask questions the whole time that we're going to be on these shows.
Yeah. Let's talk CEDIA just for a quick minute, David, since you brought that up. Some of our viewers might not be aware that CEDIA is an industry trade show, so not really open to the public, but in a lot of cases, a manufacturer that's got a product that's now ready to go will want to show that product off. And so, you've really got some of the most talented and experienced and veteran engineers and product development people in the industry all talking about their new devices. And it really does, as you alluded to earlier, David, it really gives you an idea of where the industry is going. It kind of becomes not so much about that product, but if we saw that one and that one and that one that are all kind of similar to it, you really start to get an idea of, oh, okay, so this is going to be the next thing in that part of the industry. So it's not just about these individual products, right? It's an overall design and technology story that you start to absorb. And you and I are going to, of course, talk about some specific products at CEDIA, but we're also going to be trying to bring our viewers the story of, hey, this represents a shift in technology, right?
I'm going to throw you a curveball, but
Okay.
hey, get used to it because I'm going to throw you a curveball probably every show. Here's
Okay.
my first curveball to you. You were at CEDIA 2024.
Yeah.
What was the coolest thing you saw?
Wow. Good question. Well, let's see. There was a speaker demo that was done about a product that I can't really discuss with you because it's not on the market yet. But I thought for the money, that pair of speakers sounded so, it's kind of a cliche to say it, but it really sounded like the musicians were right there in front of you. The sound stage was so impressive. And the bass that I heard in that price range, I'm just not normally used to hearing. So that was one thing. I think a second thing that I'll throw in too was it amazes me every time I go to these shows lately, David, to see what video technology and where it's going. I remember that Samsung showed us a TV that they had side by side. So this, new 2024, CEDIA 2024, they had this new 2024 Samsung TV right next to one from 2023 that they had showed at the same show. And the off axis, or standing right in front of your TV set or watching right in front of it is one thing, but at a party, a bowl game party, that kind of thing, you're going to have all kinds of people who are off to the side. I was amazed at how much better the off axis performance was. So, if you're looking kind of for a specific technology thing that I saw last year at CEDIA, I'm sure that was the most impressive thing that I saw just in 1 year, that you could get that much improvement in a technology.
The coolest thing I saw was actually something that I've seen 3 times, but I couldn't believe it anytime I had not seen it, actually heard it. Um,
Okay.
my old friend Paul Hills has a company called Theory Audio.
Oh, yes, he does. We sell Theory here at Gramophone.
So at any rate, I'm at the CD show about 3 years ago, and Mark Goldman came up to me and he's going, "You have got to hear this speaker." Let me tell you something. Do you know how many times people have said that to me? I just, at that point, I could not care less. And I said, "Look, Mark, I'm kind of busy." He's go, "Dave, just come in here and just listen to it for just 5 minutes, and then you can leave." I just, to be nice, I'm going, yeah, I mean, he's my friend. I'm going, "Oh, you know
Yeah.
what? I'll just take a few minutes and come to listen to it." And so we walked into the room, and Paul is playing these speakers that are all over the place. He's got I don't know, 100.1 or something. I'm not sure how many speakers he's got in this place. I think there was like maybe 4 on the ceiling, a couple in the back, 3 along the front, and he started playing stuff. He started playing movies. Honestly, I'm not the biggest movie fan. I can appreciate it. They're big, they're loud, they're there to excite you. It's just not necessarily my thing. Although I can certainly appreciate the advancements in video and the audio that goes around video. But we're sitting there listening, and then I'm thinking, gosh, I hope he plays some music. Well, all of a sudden, all the video goes off, and that's all he was doing. It's just playing music, one cut after another. that must be his thing, because I saw it the next year when I went, and then last year when I went. Well, last year when I went, I'm going, I am so convinced that this system is probably much better than the system that I've got. I ended up buying a set of Theory Audio speakers. I believe they're called the SB25s, one of their subwoofers,
Yeah.
their processor. And I got to tell you, that thing just completely uh, blows me away. When you see a system, or you kind of hear a system a couple times, it might be okay in your room, it might not. I got this thing set up. I actually had a set of custom stands built for it,
Okay.
and I am absolutely floored. I think it's about a $50,000 system away. Put this all in 10 grand. And this thing is totally blowing me away. So that was the first thing that I saw that I was going, wow, it was so cool. I bought it. Uh, the,
Love
sec-
it.
the second thing that I saw was this, and I thought it was the most ridiculous thing in the world when I saw it, but it was like a 50 inch subwoofer. And I had never heard subsonic bass like that in my life. I thought this was a total joke. But these things are coming in like, 4 hertz up to like 20 hertz or something. I mean, it's so low. It's just it's hard to imagine that anything was even recorded that low, but believe it or not, it is. So those are the couple of things that I saw at CEDIA that I thought were pretty cool.
Love it. Love it. And Paul Hales, by the way, is a name I had heard for many, many years. I'd never met him until 6 months, maybe a year ago. Mark Goldman did an intro for us when we took the brand on, but you're absolutely right. I mean, their sound bar, one of maybe the best sound bar on the market, is just incredible with that thing alone. Just it by itself sounds fantastic.
Well, it's one of those systems that knows no limit, and
Yeah.
believe me, I check for limits. I'm kind of a loud listener, and I really like it when it can when I can feel the impact of what's going on in my living room. There's nothing that I like more. There's nothing that my wife likes less.
Okay.
So, buddy, let's talk a little bit about. We were gonna have. He had some things come up, couldn't make it. We were gonna have Andrew Davis with with us uh, on the show, just to talk a little bit about his influence, what he's doing with Gramophone and worldwide. And this is a really, really cool guy. I met Andrew when he was like 23 years old at Gramophone. He had just come to work for Gramophone after Tweeter.
Okay.
And I walked away going, that is such a quality, sharp young man. He was so incredibly respectful, and every single word out of my mouth, it was like he was an incredible sponge.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, the guy's been doing this now for 25 years. Um, is partners and owners of both companies, and he just stays terribly involved. He's really good at strategic planning, marketing, operational efficiencies, and I absolutely love the way that he talks to our clients.
Hearing him make a presentation to a client is really a treat. And he's really one of the best salesmen that I've ever met. He's a guy who you named it there. He covers so many bases. I really feel grateful that I'm able to work for Andrew at this point, because we've all worked for guys that we got along with okay, and maybe sometimes disagreed with. We've worked occasionally for guys that we hated working for. Andrew's the complete opposite. He's a guy who's passionate about our industry and the technologies that you and I have talked about a little bit so far, but he's also a guy who's just passionate about people. So both the clients and employees here at Gramophone and worldwide, he's passionate about all of it, and it really is a pleasure to work for him because of that, right?
I couldn't agree more. In fact, I can prove it. I went to work for him.
Yeah.
Um,
And
I
you could have gone to work for a lot of people, my friend.
Well, I mean, I had a ton of offers that were being thrown around, and I was super humbled. And Andrew
Mhm.
called me. He said, I want you to fly up to Maryland. I don't want you to make any decisions. I just want you to come up and just see the operation and talk to Ed, myself, and Joe. And I did. And I felt so comfortable. I wasn't even going to make a decision for another 6 or 7 weeks, but I felt so comfortable. And it felt like family. I mean, I'd known almost everyone forever, and it felt like family. And these guys just made it a very easy decision. So, plus, I get to work with my buddy Joe. It's this is a kind of a dream come true. Joe and I
It
know each
is,
other
David.
from so long ago. Joe, I had first started working with Hi-Fi Bites, and I don't know, a couple years later, they said, "Hey, we want you to fly up to Chicago and meet with Bowers and
Bang and
Bang and
Olufsen.
Olson."
Yeah.
And I went up to Chicago, met Joe, and he was the most awesome guy. He did the best training session. Even to this day, it's one of the best I've ever been in. And I just became a real Joe fan. Well, we became friends then, whether we were working with companies that supported each other or not.
Right.
Joe and I always supported each other, so it's really good to work with you, Joe.
And we always will, David. Thank you so much for the kind words about the training and so forth. And yeah, I distinctly remember you were in the group and we were all intermingling and so forth. But I distinctly remember on the second day you came up and we had a real conversation. And I remember that conversation to this day. By the way, Tim Joyner has rung in and says, "Howdy, Dave."
Tim is a great guy. He's one of my buddies that I met a few years ago. His son was dating my daughter. Well, they
Oh my
broke
gosh.
up. They broke up, but Tim and I didn't. Tim and I remained really good friends. He's a terrific guy, and we talk audio a lot. And so, Tim, thanks very much for being here. I can't believe you happened on it. Like I said, we didn't even let anyone know that we were going to do this, because part of this is this is a test. Is this working? What do we need
Right.
to do when we really launch our first major show? But at any rate, since Andrew couldn't be here,
You bet.
we have got kind of another expert on hand, someone certainly that is quite familiar with the story. So instead of Andrew being here, we're gonna let Joe tell you a little bit about him. We don't have a lot because we didn't want this to take a lot of time, this particular segment. So the stores are a lot more. They're a lot bigger than we're showing. I think I'm showing like one room or something per store, but all of the stores are outfitted out with just tons of audio, video, and tons of fun. So let's get going, and we'll show the very first. And Joe, you can talk a little bit about the stores while we're going along.
Yeah, love to. So actually, Gramophone has 5 physical stores, but then there's also, of course, Sky by Gramophone, the online presence. David, I know that you're aware that during COVID, when people weren't spending money on basketball games and rock concerts and fine dining, a lot of folks upgraded their audio video system or their stereo system. So Sky by Gramophone's doing really well too. This is the Columbia store. So we have 3 stores that are kind of one serving the Washington, D.C. market. That's the Gaithersburg store. There's a really nice picture of the KEF room that we have in the Columbia store. That room was actually designed by one of the designers that you referenced earlier, Stephanie. And we have a video that lives on our YouTube channel just with Stephanie describing to JP, the store manager, some of the things that they did when they designed that room. We're really proud of the look and feel and sound of the rooms. This one's now our Timonium location. You could say, in a sense, the main store of the mall, because that's the one that's got the corporate offices and the warehouse in it. I actually work over here at the design. Oh, that's oh my gosh, that's a picture of the Gaithersburg store down in the Washington, D.C. market. So Gaithersburg is literally about a 10-minute drive, I'd say, from where the Audio Fest is handled down there, the Capital Audio Fest that happens every November. But I actually work up here in the design center. And the design center is just spectacular. So that's a picture of it there. We've done some videos that, again, live on YouTube just about the design center. You know, David, that lots and lots of retailers who have high-end brands don't necessarily have some of the highest end products from those brands. Well, we've got a lot of the highest end products on display. You can hear a $350,000 two-channel system if you come here to the design center. There's a nice picture of the inside of it. And then our offices where most of the marketing folks work are just on the other side of that room there. And
Is that
again,
that's where you are now, right?
That's where I am now, right? So that couch is about 15 steps from where I'm sitting. I'm actually right now in what we call the invisible theater, because it's a beautiful room in which you don't see. Not only do you not see any racks of gear and speakers, but you don't even see the TV set, and yet it's a full Dolby Atmos theater, and sounds fantastic when you pop a movie on. So.
One of the things that probably hit me the hardest when Andrew and I first started talking, and I didn't even really honestly know that you guys did this or that we do this. But I was talking to Andrew and he's going, "Have you ever had to do any contracting?" And I'm going, just so happens I've actually had to do a lot of contracting. When I worked for Hi-Fi Buys, had to hire contractors to do rebuilds or remodels or whatnot. We just did a bathroom. I had to hire contractors for that. I had to hire a plumbing guy. Yeah, I had to hire a plumbing guy, then a carpenter, then the tile guy, and then the electrician. I had to hire all these guys. None of them did the same thing, and I was all over myself. I was totally pissed off through the whole thing because nobody showed up on time. Everybody was, took longer than they said they were going to take. And these guys were literally on top of each other. Two guys show up at the same time that couldn't get their work done because the guy before them hadn't gotten all of his stuff done. So it was just kind of a nightmare. So Andrew's going, "Oh, Dave, we don't have to do all of that. All of the contractors that deal with any of our jobs are all on staff. So we actually schedule them when they need to be scheduled." I thought that was fascinating.
It is fascinating. And, pretty much everybody who is watching this, I'm sure everybody who will watch this at one point or another has done some sort of remodel. And it is so frustrating because you effectively become the general contractor at that point. You're the one trying to coordinate all these different trades, and you've got a job. You don't have time for that. So it really is a nice thing about Gramophone that if you decide, for example, well, let's do a home theater in the basement, and you want to remodel the basement, we can handle the job from taking everything out all the way down to the studs, redoing all the electrical. So you've got electrical in all the places you want it, putting in lighting systems and obviously the theater and so forth. And the fact that we can do, in most cases, the entire job without working with any subs. In the few cases where we do hire somebody who's got a specialized skill that we want, it's very easy to schedule that in because that's one person or one company that we're scheduling in with this workflow that we've already got planned out. So I would say that the design element of what we do here is one of the most impressive things to me as well. Because I've mentioned privately to you that I've done 4 kitchens in the last 30 years. And on every one of them, something was just, you're standing there 6 months later thinking, why did we do that? Why did we make that decision? Well, because we didn't have a designer to consult with.
Yeah, my biggest job is going to be keeping Christy out of the design center. That's my biggest job right now. No, she's already actually seen some pictures and went, "Oh, honey, wouldn't that be really cool?" And I'm going, "Yeah, that would be really cool." "Well, wouldn't that be cool too?" And I'm going, "God, this is going to cost me a fortune working for you guys."
Yes, it will, but you'll enjoy it at the end of the process.
Well, listen, one of the other things that we were going to talk with Andrew about, because even the last 3 weeks as I've been around and people have come up to me and going, "Oh, well, Gramophone and Worldwide are the same or they're different. They're owned by the same people, but they're not really the same." Tell us a little bit about that, Joe. How does that work, and how do these two companies that were once, competitors now now do things together? How do you see this working?
Sure, glad to. It really was kind of a fortuitous thing. HTSA is one of for those who might not know about this sort of thing, HTSA is an organization of companies all throughout the US who do things similarly to what we do. And it's a buying group, right? An organization of people that support each other. Well, Bob Cole, the owner of Worldwide Stereo, and Andrew knew each other for quite a while. Both stores had been opened back in the 70s. And Andrew just asked Bob at one point, what's your exit strategy? Do you want to keep doing this forever? And of course, Bob didn't. He wanted to at some point retire and start really just enjoying life. I think, David, it was one of those things that was very fortuitous in that Worldwide being up in Philadelphia, Gramophone being here in the Baltimore and Washington, D.C. markets, we're just far away enough from each other that we're really not trampling on each other's customers, right? It's about a 2.5 hour drive to get up to the Montgomery store from Timonium here, assuming no traffic. But so just far enough away that we weren't trampling on each other, but on the other hand, close enough that it could logistically work. I think if Andrew had tried to buy a store in Portland or Denver or someplace, that just wouldn't have worked. It's very difficult to administer that kind of thing when you're that far away. There certainly are some differences, and that's why, or one of the reasons why, the two stores have kept each their own brand name. There's no desire to make that Gramophone North or this Worldwide South because both brands have established a ton of equity in their
Well, we
respective
both worked for
marketplaces.
companies or know companies, right, that have gone through this. In fact, we've known people for the last 40 years that have gone through some kind of a merger or big buyout. Probably my least favorite one was when Twitter bought a ton of people, and within a couple of years they were out of business. And the thing, I was already gone out of retail by then, but I still had plenty of friends on the retail floor, and they would just go, Dave, for example, we're Hi-Fi Buys. We don't really do business the way they do in Boston. And the things that they're making us do don't really make sense. Well, 50% later, 50% cut later was only like not long after that, they were 1 year. It took them about a year to get 50% decrease in sales, which it was easy to see. I love the camaraderie between these two teams because they do remain independent. However, there's like one goal in mind. I've worked with both teams now. I've worked with the management team at Gramophone and the management team of Worldwide. And of course, we have our marketing meeting together every Tuesday, right? And both teams converge there. It's wonderful to see because really all anybody is concerned with is how do we make this next thing that we're going to do better? And it's just wonderful teamwork.
Yeah, the two companies, of course, have very similar philosophies about taking care of the customer, about representing some of the finest products in the marketplace. And so two companies with very similar thinking, and yet they doing some things better than we were doing them here at Gramophone, some of their systems and so forth, some of the ways that they went about doing business, and vice versa, we doing certain things better. So I think really both companies, because it's about not quite a year and a half later now, it seems to me right around the beginning of April was when we first really started, announcing this to the public, April of last year. But really we can see now that there's been benefit to both sides from absorbing what the other company is doing well. And there will continue, of course, David, to be some differences. They've been doing mobile audio, the car stereo thing, practically since day one when they started as a company. They're good at it. They're going to continue to do that. We don't have any plans to do mobile. We do, some things here. We've got the Gramophone Design and Build now, which we had called Kitchen Design Center previously, and just announced literally yesterday morning that it's now Gramophone Design and Build. But, we're really good at that sort of thing. So, two companies that really see a lot of things in the same way, yet have their own unique individual approach to their marketplace. And I just love it that we're able to keep the brand equity the same in both. I used an analogy with you earlier, David, that you can go into the Honda dealership in your town and drive a few of the cars. It works great. I'd like to try one of those Acuras. Well, no, they don't sell Acura. That's two different brands owned by the same people.
Yeah, there's a lot of commonalities in the actual product lines, and then there's some that are unique, which is I think that's the way it should be based on what's going on in any particular store. And while we're talking about that, we've shown a few of the gramophone stores. Let's just show you what at least the facade of a couple of these others look like. This is the Worldwide Stereo in Montgomeryville. This is where I first met my old friend Bob Cole, who sold to Andrew and Ed. And I thought, wow, this store looks amazing. It didn't look like this when you guys bought it or when Gramophone bought it, but they've done a whole remodel of the place and it's just absolutely gorgeous.
And they got another one coming, right? The Wayne, PA store,
They
which
do
is
have the
more on
Wayne
the
one.
main line.
I think that's open in what, September? Is it 18th?
I think it's just about a month away. So yeah, month, 6 weeks maybe.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool.
Mhm.
That was going to be. I asked Andrew. I said before we did the show. So sorry for showing that picture, but I asked Andrew before the show. We were talking about some of the questions I was going to ask him, and I said, I'd ask him, what are some of the biggest lessons that you had learned? What's the biggest win you had? And then I said, what are you the most thankful for? And I thought he was going to say something like, I really didn't know what he was going to say, but I thought it was really going to have something to do with, well, I'm really thankful that this opportunity came available or something. I said, what are you really the most thankful for? And Andrew said, I got to tell you, Dave, my family has stood behind me behind it. This guy works all the time, but
He
what a
does.
family he's got. These guys are always out doing something together, which I share those family values as well. I do. Yeah, that my family's hugely important to me. So when he said that, it just further made me love this guy. I'm thinking, wow, what a killer guy.
Yeah.
But that was going to be his answer. We did a couple of events. Was it last week and the week before?
Yeah. Last 3 weeks anyway, we've done two major events, right?
We have, in fact, we did the world premiere of the Bowers and Wilkins 801D4 Abbey Road limited edition speaker. I think they only made like 140 pair for the world,
That's
and
right.
somehow Gramophone and Worldwide was chosen to debut this speaker. And so this is a speaker that was there. I have no idea why Premiere didn't make it on the slide, but it's actually on the slide. But at any rate, this was a world premiere of this absolutely gorgeous speaker, and it was a fantastic event. I actually was privileged to be at both events, and so was our friend Kevin Zarro. Kevin is the president of Massimo. That's the head of a bunch of companies, Bowers and Wilkins being one of them. And this guy flies down. Look, he might be fantastic with a spreadsheet, but he is so personable and wonderful with people. I loved Kevin being there.
And like Andrew, he's got a tremendous passion for audio and video products, and he can go on and on about the history of some of the, Marantz and other products that they have in their portfolio that he's owned for decades. And just a very, as you say, he's a very people-driven guy, but he's also a very product-driven guy. He's got that same passion that Andrew has, which I think is part of how we came to be the first retailer in the world to unveil the Bowers and Wilkins 801D4 special edition for, the Abbey Road limited edition product, because, we have such a strong relationship with Kevin because he's kind of like one of us.
He's definitely one of us. I promise you that. I spent some time with him last week, and we just had a total blast.
Yeah.
We also, you tell us about the Denon Horizon.
Yeah. So this is actually the Marantz Horizon and Grand Horizon product. And Pete Medueno, the guy you can see on the right-hand side of the picture there, is actually doing his presentation that he was doing to the consumers. And that's a lifestyle product that, again, if you really aren't, you want great sound, but you're really not interested in stacks of equipment and things that have to be interconnected and so forth. Horizon and Grand Horizon are physically beautiful products that you can pull your smartphone out of your pocket, link up to Qobuz or one of the high resolution streaming services, and just start enjoying your favorite music. And I know that you share this sentiment with me, David. I was blown away when we got a presentation from Pete about an hour or two before the show actually started, where he just played those things for us. But it sounded better than I could have imagined that they would sound.
Joe and I walked in. I actually walked in before Joe did, and nobody
You're
was
already sitting there.
Yeah, Pete was playing. He's going, okay, here's one speaker. Sounded great. We're going to add these things in stereo. He threw them in stereo, and I don't know if it's a room or just the units. I know it's the units because I've heard them before. They make a lot of bottom end. But Joe and I were commenting on, I cannot believe how two of these things fill up a room like this, and they sounded fantastic.
They really did. So he had that nailed down. And then my friend David Solomon was the third presenter. And obviously, with your strong background with not only Qobuz, because you spent, I think, about 7.5 years with Qobuz, really leading the charge for high resolution there, but going way back to your Peachtree days and even before, David, you were really waving that banner that, hey, people love streaming for the convenience. This is here to stay, and it's going to get better and better sounding as we go. And one of the things I've admired in your career is the way that you were able to adopt that vision really even before, certainly before I adopted that vision. I thought streaming was just a, lo-fi thing that was going to, always be there, but was never going to get any better. And you believed in it.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it was it was easy to believe in. During this event, it was so much fun because you know me, Joe, I love talking about music.
Yes, you do.
And that's basically, I wasn't talking about gear. I wasn't talking about anything except 75 years of music. And so we were playing things from the 50s, 60s, 70s, all the way up till today. And we just absolutely had a fantastic time. I personally did not want those sessions to end because like I felt like I was getting like, okay, I'm just kind of getting warmed up. And then a new group comes in and I'm going, well, God, these guys still wanted to hear everything that we're playing. If you do, and if you don't have time to do this right now and you just want to write us, we'll be happy to provide you with this. But I made a playlist specifically for this event. This one happens to be on Qobuz. It is my choice of streaming services for a number of reasons that we'll get into in a few weeks when we do our streaming video. But this is the playlist that I had. I wasn't able to play maybe 10 songs. I think I've got about 60 on here. These songs are not designed, or at least the playlist isn't necessarily designed to test your system, but it certainly will test your system. There's a lot of really good music on there. And that's kind of what I do. We're going to be putting out a lot of music because we don't want any of our relationships to be just about boxes. The only reason people buy boxes is so that they can get music out of them. So to me, although I do love audio, I do love the gear. That's always secondary. Does it sound like music? Does it do what I need? Is it going to make me have fun? Is it going to change my life in a wonderful way? Those are the kinds of things that really make me happy with audio systems, not necessarily anything else. That's really the very main thing. So if you didn't get a chance to copy the QR, to read the QR, just give us a quick note and we'll send you one or publish it. But that was such an absolute fun event, huh?
People were having a lot of fun, and I know that people who came out of your room were commenting to me how much they enjoyed your presentation. Let me put in a quick pop for movies here as well, David. There are a lot of movies that I hear used in demos that I would never watch, would never interact with, because they're all about explosions and stuff blowing up and people getting shot with heavy guns and all this kind of stuff. I'm not into that at all. But I love a great plot driven movie, number one. And number two, I love music videos. There's a video of the band Queen, who I know you're comfortable with and you've listened to. I never got a chance to see Queen live. But when I saw Live at Wembley, the DVD that I bought, I don't know how many years ago now, about 5 minutes into it, I realized, oh my gosh, these guys were spectacular. And it's grainy looking because it was filmed in 1986, I believe. The audio isn't, again, it's not the audio that you're going to use in a demonstration to try to show somebody how awesome this speaker sounds or anything like that. But my gosh, it was such a performance. And I love watching that thing despite its technical flaws. So I'm always going to try to, I love your passion for music, but I'm always going to pop in there for movies and music DVDs too.
Yeah,
Music videos,
my sort of hidden passion is YouTube videos.
yeah.
I absolutely love. I mean, I listen to a lot of music videos because I do like to just listen to the music, but I really love to see the performers get up there and do what do what they do. So on my system, if I listen to stuff, believe it or not, a whole lot of it is, wow, I can't believe Gavin Harrison can do this on drums, or I can't believe King Crimson sounded like this. Or there's this new band I really like that in no way translates to their albums. Their albums don't sound that great. And when you're listening to them, you kind of think it's just sort of background tracks because everybody uses background tracks until you see the music videos, and then they're going, wow, everybody's playing this all at one time. They're all like a real band, and it is fantastic. So, yeah,
Can you say what band it is?
It's a band called Lawrence.
Okay.
Yeah, gentlemen. These are young people, both under 30 years old. I think Gracie is more toward 20. I think she's like 23, 24 now, but just an absolutely incredible, talented brother and sister. And then they've got a choir with them. They've got horns, drums, just all kinds of fun's happening on that stage. And I love to see fun. So now when I listen to their albums, I'm going, oh yeah, I can kind of get a feel with, how they were going. So I do love that. And I'll continue to do that, probably get a little more into music videos as well.
I'm so glad you love music videos and that you loved YouTube, because I consume a lot of YouTube content, because there's all kinds of rare things there that you can find that, you're probably not going to, it's not that you can't find them in other ways, but you're not necessarily even going to be aware of them. I had no idea what a great drummer Karen Carpenter was.
Oh, wow. Shit. That's what she started out to be.
She started on the drums but until I saw a YouTube video of her playing the drums, I didn't realize, wow, that woman can play.
Yeah, she's a jazz drummer. Really, that's what she wanted to be. I could not believe with that voice. Yeah, walking around with that voice, she wanted to be a professional drummer. In fact, on the playlist that I just put up a minute ago on this guy, I've got the London Symphony Orchestra playing Carpenter's tunes, and they took Karen Carpenter's voice and they mixed it into that, and it is absolutely fabulous. It's one of my favorite recordings. You've never heard Karen sound so sweet. It was just incredible.
Love it. I used to make fun of Karen Carpenter in the 70s until I started singing in the choir, and I realized how difficult it is to sing and sound good. And then I started listening to Karen and realizing she was phenomenal. By the way, Emily Cole, who we've been talking about, Bob, the owner, Emily, his daughter, of course, working at Worldwide Stereo as marketing director. And she just popped over. Such a fab playlist from Dave.
Oh, awesome. Well, we were talking about Emily a little earlier, and although Bob is gone, and I really love Bob, we still have a member of the family, Emily. I've known her forever. She is just an awesome person, and I was so glad to see that she was not departing with Bob that she's like fully engaged.
Yeah, she's into it. That's for sure. I had not met Emily until, this happened. And I think I've only met Bob once or twice. I mean, the owner, but typically I would be interfacing with somebody else, in professional ways. So, but, yeah, yeah. So, we've got about 10 minutes or so left, David. And
We got a couple more things to talk about, and then we're just about done.
who's that guy in the picture?
I don't know, man. But he's doing something that I really dig. Yes, I've been into streaming forever, but I am heavily into vinyl, and I have been my whole life, and nothing probably will ever change that. It's not quite as convenient, but it doesn't really need to be. It's a process, and if you get into that process, there's not really a lot that you're going to be able to. Nothing else will do. Well, also Joe helped host the next event, the SVS event, and that was a really nice event as well. I wasn't able to attend that one.
Yeah, absolutely. The guys at SVS, yes, they make products that really in sort of the entry level, if you will, price wise of the high end, because that's really where their strength is. Their products are very impressive for the amount of money that gets charged for them. But they're a company that's a heavily customer service driven company. And we tend to put on a lot of events here at Gramophone, as they do up at Worldwide, because we enjoy interacting with our customers. Usually it's us putting the event on and having a guest come in and participate and so forth. When we put on an SVS event, they do a ton of the heavy lifting. They show up the day before to help just get everything organized in terms of the presentations. And then they actually do the presentations themselves, which, as much as I love to present, I'm never going to know the brand as well as the people who actually design and build the products, right? So those events that we have, this was our second one, that we just did on the 29th of July. And, it was a very fun event. We had close to, let's see, I think it was almost 120 people. I want to say it was 116 people that attended the event. And we had some wonderful music played on both more affordable and then higher end SVS products. We had some fantastic demos that were done on the home theater that they brought along. In fact, one of the most impressive demos, they were playing a song from Elton John, and they were playing it on a multi-channel system, which of course a lot of our customers have not heard, because typically in a multi-channel system, somebody's blasting, big powerful movies at them. This thing sounded really, really good, and you could hear what the Dolby Atmos speakers were doing and everything. It was incredible.
I think I heard that. I think I heard that demo last week at the Focal booth, and it was it blew me away.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to getting that and listening to it at the house. But Gary is actually, all of the guys, Gary, Nick, and Larry, all do a magnificent job. And if Larry is doing a demo, you could not. Wild horses couldn't pull me away. That guy is so entertaining and so much fun, and he's just so real. I love that guy to death. But at any rate, yeah, so be on the lookout. But when we're doing events, we'll announce them here so that you'll have at least one more heads up. And then after the event, we'll recap the event here if there's anything that's really notable that needs to be talked about. But which we're going to do with our next event. Our next show, our next tuned in show, we're going to be talking about the event that we had, the Bowers and Wilkins event, but we are going to have some really crazy guests on this. Today, this is really Joe and I going, hey, is this thing even looking good? Can we go live with this thing? So a lot of this, thank you so much for being with us, because a lot of this is, hey, this is our test. This is kind of our test run. But next week on the 13th, it's going to be Wednesday the 13th. We typically do these shows a little bit later, but we've got a guest from jolly old England who, if we do it at 5 o'clock, it's already 9 o'clock his time. And if you know any English people, any British people, at 5 o'clock, that's pint time. So we want to, kind of make this as quick for Andy as we can, but we're going to have Andy Kerr. He's production manager and so much more for Bowers and Wilkins. He's been with this company, I think, about 30 years now. If it weren't for Andy, I don't think a lot of stuff would get done at Bowers and Wilkins. The guy is so focused on everything Bowers and Wilkins. He does a lot of work with the folks at Abbey Road, and he can just like kind of walk in anytime he wants. If you know anything about Abbey Road, this is not open to the public. But those few folks that bought the Bowers and Wilkins 801 Abbey Road edition, there's actually going to be they actually get to go to Abbey Road and get a tour with Andy, which is going to be just a whole lot of fun. Well, Andy's one person. Andy is a manufacturer, right? Andy, although they make incredible stuff, and Andy knows everything about Bowers and Wilkins more than you probably want to know. He's probably forgotten more than we'll ever know about Bowers and Wilkins. So to kind of keep this process, I think, a little more lively, we're also going to have two really good friends of mine. I love these people. This is Jim Anderson and Ulrike Schwarz Anderson. They are married now, but these are two of the smartest people I have ever met in my life. They're recording engineers, and Jim and Ulrike own Anderson Audio in New York. Jim is also a professor at NYU, and he teaches the kids there something that nobody ever teaches in music appreciation classes, which is this is what stuff is supposed to sound like. And these guys are so good at making stuff sound like it's supposed to sound like. They've done, you would know a ton of the artists that they've done, but one of the artists was with Patricia Barber, Click. And they actually did that at Skywalker Ranch using Bowers and Wilkins 801s. And I was talking to Jim and Ulrike last week, and I'm going, look, thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate it. They knew what the show was about. And Jim's going, David, this is a total honor. We mix on these speakers all the time. And Ulrike and myself absolutely love them. In fact, they've got them in 6 different places, and we could show you all of those. So he's going to be just a really neat guy, but coming at this thing from a completely opposite take than Andy. Andy's the guy that's making the speakers. These are the guys that are actually using the speakers the way that Bowers and Wilkins seems to be the most proud of the way that they get used anyway, which is in recording studios. So to me, this should be it's going to be for me. I hope it will be for you as well. It's going to be a fascinating conversation with these guys.
Yeah, man. So we got just a couple minutes left, David. Any wrap-up comments that you want to consider?
No, not at all. I think we've gotten everything that we wanted to talk about done. Joe, thanks so much for co-hosting this thing with me. I'd like to thank Charlie and Elias for producing this. What a great team. It's like everybody just hops right in. Neither one of them had used, we're using StreamYard. Neither one of them had used this. And then last week they just got in, figured out how to do it. And they've just done a wonderful job producing the show. And well, I want to just give some big thanks to those guys.
Absolutely, David. Crispy Greens just rang in with, it's a pleasure to have tuned in. And I'm really glad we did this because, we did our little dry run 2 days ago and then a second dry run yesterday just to kind of make sure that we knew what we were doing. But you're right. Elias and Charlie just jumped all over it. And so much so that I really felt the right thing to do was just let's go ahead and do one live so that we actually get the chance to interact with people, have people make comments and so forth. And David, I'm so glad we did. It's been a pleasure being with you for the past hour. And I absolutely look forward to next week because Andy's a really special guy. And I'm so looking forward to that one.
Yeah, me too. So join us next week, Wednesday, the 13th at noon Eastern time. And have some questions for Andy. Also, we'll be doing our 3 questions for Joe and I, and so come and play Stump the Chump with us. Thanks so much for being with us at this first live event. We look forward to having many more in the future. Take care.